part 3, I think, of my Learn Tarot course. This is a historical overview. You might find it pretty boring, but I'm including it anyway. And a lot of it was written by AI. So it's not personal or anything like that. It's just a little bit of history about where the tarot came from. I do know it's true. It matches everything I've learned, so it's accurate. So here we go. When we think of tarot cards, we think of the occult, mysticism, and divination. Well, the truth of the matter is, the original tarot cards were actually used to play games with. The basic rules for playing the tarot games appear in an Italian manuscript of Martiano da Tortana, dating back to 1425, with the Italian multi-class. It is a fact that the beginnings of the tarot deck started in the 15th century in Italy between 1420 and 1440. There is no substantial evidence linking the tarot at that time to an ancient Egypt, although certain Egyptian symbols are present on the cards. But we can take into account the history between Rome and Egypt in deciding how much Egyptian influence these cards actually contain. This would be based on one's historical perspective, even if the jury in some cases has decided that there is no proof of such a relationship. Created as a game for the nobles, the 22 cards we refer to as the Major Arcana were a lavish hand-painted set of cards for the Italian nobility to entertain themselves with. This is not the same deck of cards we know today as playing cards, which date back to the Chinese in the 12th century. Those cards were created at that time to entertain the Chinese king's concubines. This origin of playing cards is a credible story as to the creation of cards because the Chinese also created paper, which the cards were made of. Wow. The three decks from the Italian nobility in 1440 called the Visconti trumps are the ones by historical consensus that are regarded as the ancient elders of the tarot as we know them today. Like all playing cards, at the time, these early decks had number cards 1 to 10 and 4 suits, and the court cards, page, knight, queen, king, and 22 cards not belonging to any suit. These cards bore symbolic pictures with subjects like the Pope, the Emperor, the Wheel of Fortune, the Devil, and the Moon. We recognize these same names in the Major Arcana portion of the tarot decks we use today. The tarot cards were used to play a new game at that time called trumps. I'm pretty sure that's trumps and it's a typo, but we'll see. It was similar to bridge with the 22 cards without suits serving as the trump cards. Yes, the trump cards outranked the other cards in the deck. This card game was extremely popular among the ruling and upper classes in Italy, spreading quickly through northern Italy to east of France. As the card game spread to other countries in Europe, changes were made to the pictures and the ranking of the trump cards, which bore no numbers. As time ensued, the card game spread to northern Sicily, Austria, Germany, and the lower geographical countries. There is evidence, however, that the 16th century the tarot was used to compose poems in which personality, characteristics, descriptions were taken from the tarot. Poets would use the titles of the trump cards to create flattering verses to describe the ladies in the court. In one specific case, in 1572, a poem related to a person's fate. It is noted that the use of the tarot cards for divination purposes dates back to 1750, where the divinatory meanings and uses of that deck were completely different from how it is used today. Although in 1589 there was a case implying witchcraft in the use of the tarot cards, there is no other real written evidence of its occult use until the 18th century. It was not until the 18th century that the tarot was viewed as having mystical and spiritual occult meanings. But keep in mind that although it wasn't the norm in terms of card usage, ordinary playing games were associated with the divination and the occult as far back as 1487. There is concrete evidence that early divinatory meanings were given to the tarot as far back as 1700s in I don't know how to say that word. Is it Bologna? Sorry. I should have known that. Anyway, what this paragraph is saying is very important. It's basically in alignment with the crisis of conscience, part 2. People who want to do evil things will do evil things with things that were not meant to be evil. So this was not created to be an evil thing. The tarot was created as an entertainment tool. Somewhere along the line, people started noticing, hey, this came true in my life. And that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to evolve to be more psychic, more intuitive. It's a sixth sense that we are developing as humans in this human race. And these cards are meant to come into being as part of our evolution, in my opinion. And this is what's happening here. Hey, it's a game. That makes sense too, because you'll see, maybe I think in the intuition part, really we trick our mind by going around our ego to get to our intuition. And if you call it a game, that's a perfect way to get to your intuition, because people didn't know it. People didn't know they were triggering their intuition until one day they figured it out. And now it's like, but they already went around the ego. They've already proven the ego wrong, because typically if somebody said, okay, here's some cards, they're going to tell you, your future, and you're going to be able to talk to spirit through these cards. People would have been like, the ego would have been like, what? No, like shooting it down right away. The ego will do that. That's what the ego does. It shoots down anything like that. You're crazy. That they're going to put you away. They're going to put you in the hospital. They're going to put you in, the psych ward, whatever. But this calling it a game, perfect, resonates perfectly with everything I've learned about intuition. We're going around the ego. We're calling it a game until, some people are realizing it's intuitive, that these cards know something we don't, right? And then what evil people do is say, okay, I'm going to use them for evil. And what good people do is say, I'm going to use them for good. So hopefully on my channel, you are using them for good and not evil. I don't think they can be used for evil, but you can pretend that they do, and you can try whatever. That's, people using them for evil are just evil, whatever. Okay. The first detailed reference of the trump cards of the tarot was in a sermon. It was given by a Franciscan friar between 1450 and 1470, who stated the trumps were devised by the devil himself. The use of the cards was condemned, and the devil is credited with the final triumph of the trumps. He contended that the devil wins through the loss of the souls in the card game. The word tarot. So what's happening here? Leaders, right, started catching on. The people are talking to spirit through these cards. No, we can't have that. So let's just control them by telling them it's the devil. That's what's happening here. The word tarot is argued about whether or not it derives from Egypt, Hebrew, or Latin as an anagram originally, while historical finds imply it comes from the first word, tarachi, which is plural, or tarako, which is singular for the game of triumphs or trumps 100 years after the first deck emerged. No one really knows why the word tarot appeared, but they do know the Germans called the deck tarot, tarok in the French tarot. All right, I might be doing too much at one time because I don't like stumbling over all those words, and I'm so sorry. I hope that the rest of this goes better. I seriously will stop. All right, in terms of ancient historical association of the tarot and its history, Anton Court de Gabelin in the 18th century in France became convinced that the tarot deck had connections to Egypt because on its picture symbolism. In the book Monde Primitif, he alluded to the fact that the pictures in the tarot are from the ancient books that were not burned in Egypt. He also felt that there were secrets that had to be decoded in those pictures. Soon after, everyone was viewing the tarot as a card system deep with hidden meanings. So somebody decided that there were hidden meanings in there, and he was right. The secret history of the tarot was again stirred up by the notion that the originator of the secrets was a god known as Thoth, also called Hermes. Trismegistus. Oh, yeah, I'm from Lowell. like, I don't know. Yeah, English is like my second language here. So you can read that word and decide for yourself what the name pronunciation is. Modern occult tarot became in 1781 when the same Swiss clergyman and Freemason Anton Court de Geblin published a speculative study, Le Monde Primitif, which included the religious symbolism of the tarot. He wrote the symbolism of the Tarot de Marseille contains symbols representing Isis and Thoth. He further said that the word tarot came from the Egyptian word ta, meaning royal, and ro, meaning road. He concluded that the tarot was meant as the royal road to wisdom. He also asserted that it was indeed the gypsies, who were descendants from Egypt, who used the cards for divination first and were the first as a nomadic group to introduce the cards to Europe, although the later Egyptologists could not find anything to substantiate this. It has remained solid as part of the tarot legacy. In 1781, the Comte de Mellet wrote a short article on tarot published in Court de Geblin's. Again, I apologize. I don't know. These are just names that I have no idea how to pronounce. Le Monde Primitif. He was the first to write that there was a connection between Hebrew letters and the cards. In the 19th century, the famous occultist Eliphas Levi developed a relationship between the Kabbalah and the tarot. The Kabbalah is what is referred to as Hebrew mysticism. Now, this fueled the idea that the tarot originated in Israel and contained the wisdom of the tree of life from the Kabbalah. This idea brought the 78 cards together into a uniform key to the mysteries and was passed to the English-speaking world through the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. The Theosophical Society, the Hermetic Order, and the Golden Dawn, the Rosicrucians, the Church of Light, and the builders of Antitum all secured the tarot's position in the 19th and 20th centuries as viable forms of divination. They're agreeing. Divination is trying to talk to the divine, trying to communicate with the divine. That's all. Ooh, divination. That used to be a bad word. Ooh, divination. Ooh. No, it's not a bad word. Look it up. It's speaking to spirit. You want to look it up right now? Let's look it up right now. Copy, paste. I'm on my keyboard. Definition. I'm on my laptop. Which is, thank God, Windows. The practice of seeking knowledge of the future or unknown by supernatural means. I feel like, show more. Oh, I swear somewhere there's a definition that says trying to speak to God. The art of practice that seeks to foresee or foretell future events or discuss unusual insight. But it's like, I think for me, it's the word itself, divination. Trying to talk to the divine. We're trying to do all of this, whatever it says, foresee, telling the future events, whatever, through speaking to the divine. The divine is God. The divine is nature. It is the universe. So for me, that's the definition of divination, and it's not bad. But in my mind it was, because that's how the Bible speaks about it. Divination for evil purposes is a thing. But divination to connect to your higher self and get knowledge about yourself as to what you are supposed to be doing here on this earth, for me, is not bad. And it never will be. In fact, the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, which saved my life, that is the 11th and 12th steps, right? To connect through prayer and meditation to find out what your purpose is, right? I said it earlier. So if that's your intention, that's what you will get. It was author Edward Waite who was accredited with the Renaissance of the Tarot in the 20th century. It was he who commissioned Pamela Coleman Smith to create what he called the Rectified Tarot. He himself, being a member of secret societies, also collaborated with one of his brothers known as a revered mystic. The man whose last name was Ryder gave Waite with weight to the Rider-Waite's 1910 tarot deck. This deck has become the worldwide standard tarot deck. It was and still is the most popular deck to date because of its rich symbolism and ease of interpretation. I don't know if that's true. You watch YouTube tarot, nobody uses the Rider-Waite. It has images that are not copyrighted. That's why I use them. So this is the Rider-Waite deck. Here, the two wands. You probably recognize this. Maybe not. It depends on how long you've been reading tarot. But these are the cards that I learned tarot on. This and the Morgan Greer deck. They didn't have these beautiful decks that we're using today. A lot of them that I sell on this website. So many beautiful decks. This one. Ooh. Look at this. Oh, these cards are too big. Wow, I really got to go through this website. The Archangel Tarot cards. Oh. Look at this. Oh, these pictures are pretty great. So, yeah, all different kinds. What is my favorite? There's a Thoth. There is a Thoth deck, and it's very different. It's a whole different system, and I don't know it. These cards are different in so many ways. It's a whole like cult thing, and I keep saying someday I'm going to. They're very similar, but they're slightly different at the same time. They are a little more frightening. I keep saying I'm going to learn this system, and then I don't have time. For me, it's quite enough what I have now, the communication that I have, the information I get from the cards, and then, what I know now. So I don't feel like I have to do that, but yeah, look at this one. Is this one? Yeah, I have this deck too. I love tarot decks. I love so many tarot decks. That deck is not sold out. I don't know why it says. Anyway, the point, we started with that, and they're saying it's the most popular. I kind of disagree. It might look like the most popular because people can use the images and not get in trouble. So if you see a website, it might have a lot of those images. But that's why I created my own deck here. Oh, look at this. Wish Fulfillment, Two of Cups. Very nice. What a reading. That's why I developed my own. So nobody could say copyright, and I didn't have to use the Rider-Waite. So that is it for this section, the historical overview. Next up is what to notice, and this is where you really beyond the meanings of the cards. And this is the part that I did not learn. Most of the stuff that's in this next chapter I did not learn until 5 years ago, honestly. And I would wonder how other readers were picking up certain things, because I taught tarot to myself. So I didn't have a teacher with experience. I had just spirit and the cards. So when YouTube tarot came along, I learned a lot. So what they know, it's really not that complicated. And I try to show that in this next section, what to notice. So I hope you join me for that. I hope that you enjoyed this video. You got something out of it. And yeah, hope to see you in the next one. Thanks.